Apologies, folks. I think you can hear me now. Sorry about that. Had some technical difficulties there at the start, but I think everyone can hear me now. All right. Again, thank you all so much for attending today. My name is Courtney Peak. I'm the head of support here at PreciseFP. Today's webinar is all about talking about our pipelines, our automatic workflow piece in PreciseFP and how that can really boost your efficiency using this solution in your practice. So everyone is on mute, but if you have any questions, go ahead and pop those right in the GoToWebinar control panel. We should have some time at the end for a Q&A session. I'm also going to be recording this session, so it will be sent out to everybody that attends today as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started just because there's so much to talk about within this topic. So with pipelines, just a couple of things that we're going to focus on today is really how you can eliminate data entry, how you're going to be able to kind of automate your client and prospects journey, and really how to fully utilize the pipeline from prospect all the way to client. So with the pipeline, a lot of people don't know this, but it is our automatic workflow piece that we have in PreciseFP. So it's really automated workflow at its best. So as advisors and with your staff, you really no longer have to worry about things falling through the cracks. So for example, as clients complete your form templates, they can move on to the next stage in your pipeline, whether that's maybe moving from onboard to discover or from plan to invest. You are able to customize this pipeline or this workflow based on your practice and the way that you work with your clients. The really cool thing about our dashboard is it actually will show you where clients and prospects are in their respective pipelines. So you can have a client pipeline and you can have a prospecting pipeline. So for prospects, your pipeline might look like maybe the first stage is called onboard, where you send them an onboarding questionnaire. To the next stage, maybe that's called acquire, where you send them your service agreement, and then when your client agrees to the agreement and signs off on it, the system will and can automatically convert them from a prospect to a client. And let's say maybe after 90 days of not taking any action, you can actually have the system move them to a stage, maybe you call it re-engage, where you may want to have the system reach out to them with templates that you created to re-engage them. So as mentioned, this really is an excellent tool for you and for your staff so that you no longer have to worry about these important pieces and these stages falling through the cracks. And this is really a way that PreciseFP really does go above and beyond data gathering. So let's go ahead and dive right into the PreciseFP dashboard. Now, if you are following along today and you do not see the pipeline under the application settings here, that does mean that you are not the company admin user. Only the company admin user would have access to customize the actual pipelines that we're going to be looking at and focusing on today. You may be under the XYPN enterprise or another enterprise account. In that case, only the admin again would have access to customize that. If you are on an enterprise like under XYPN and you are maybe wanting access to this, be sure to reach out to our chat support. A member of our support team can talk to you about what that process looks like. All right, so we're under pipeline here. Again, keep in mind, this is the automatic workflow under PreciseFP. So this is going to automate things for you in PreciseFP. I get asked sometimes, like, does this work with the automatic workflows that you can do in like your CRM? No, this is just for kind of having things automated within the PreciseFP platform only. So for example, like forms being able to go out automatically to your clients and prospects. Another thing that I get asked often too is, can I use the pipelines to automate data being exported over to my CRM or my financial planning software automatically? No, that is not something that you can use the pipeline for. The integrations are not probably ever going to be set up to be automatic, and that is by design. We want you folks as advisors to be in control of the data that you want to go over to your CRM and to your financial planning software. So we will never automate data being able to go over to other systems. I will talk about some workarounds that I have seen advisors do for kind of that step of getting it over to the CRM and financial planning software. So I'm going to be throwing in some tips and tricks that I have seen just kind of working with the thousands of advisors that I have over the years here at PreciseFP. So let's just talk about kind of the lay of the land here in the pipeline settings. So we're looking at right now the client pipeline. You can always tell what pipeline you're on up here in the upper left-hand corner. This drop down right here is actually going to switch your view from either client pipeline to the pipeline that you have set up for prospecting. Another question that I do get asked often too is, can I have more than these two pipelines going for clients and prospects? You could only have a pipeline for clients and prospects accounts, but you are not limited to the number of stages or flows that you can have. So I have seen advisors kind of create different paths, if you will, that clients and prospect accounts can actually take through the system. So that is something that you can do, and we can talk about that as we're kind of going through setting up pipelines and customizing this. So if this is your first time taking a look at the pipeline, you'll probably notice that you do have some basic flows set up out here, and these are just what we have by default, just to kind of help you get started, if you will. By no means do you have to keep this. It's just to kind of allow you to visualize a path that your clients could potentially go on, and you can, just like our forms, right? It's fully customizable. So this is something that you too can fully customize. You can create a custom flow that you want your clients to go on, and you can create a custom flow that you want your prospects to go on. So just to kind of give you some ideas and some inspiration, a lot of times what I have advisors do who are using the pipelines is they do use it for starting with prospects and kind of having the prospects go through a, I'd say, very minimal flow, maybe 1 to 2 forms. That's really it. Maybe 3 if we want to throw in the service agreement. But then what I really see the heavy flows are for clients, especially with advisors who are using PreciseFP to do multiple forms. So not just your fact finder, but maybe also the risk tolerance and maybe a goals form, the IPS, as well as fact finder, and then maybe 30 days after that, sending out a survey. So typically, again, what I see advisors do is they really kind of start a pipeline with prospects and kind of go through all the way to clients, and even create a stage called annual review where they put the clients in that stage for a year, and the system would automatically engage them with a form again in a year. So again, just really, this is really powerful because, as I was mentioning earlier, it really makes it so that these important pieces are not falling through the cracks. The system is taking care of them for you and your staff automatically. So let's just kind of go through a sample kind of pipeline here, very simple, just kind of talk about, maybe going from prospecting to clients. So with prospecting, usually what I see advisors do is they will create a form and they do the web publishing option. So they get that on their websites or their social media sites or their LinkedIn pages, right? So someone comes in and fills out that form, and what happens is they are automatically created as a prospect for you in PreciseFP. And when they are created as a prospect, they are automatically dropped in your stage number 1. So by default, we call it onboard, which kind of does make sense. But if you guys want to change any of this that we have out here, you can, this is called a stage. Let me back up a little bit. This is called a stage. So this onboard is called a stage. And then each one of these little tiles in the stage are the flows that it can do within this stage. So you can have as many stages as you want, and you can have as many flows within that stage as you want to. So again, fully customizable. So the moment that a prospect is created, whether it's a manual creation or created off of a form, they are automatically dropped into this step number 1 or stage number 1. So in this case, what I can say is maybe I've got my onboarding questionnaire posted on my website, okay? And what this is saying is when form engagement with the onboarding questionnaire and the title is completed, it's going to move them to my next stage. And then when they are in this next stage, what happens is the form service agreement, when that is completed, we want to convert them. Let's change that up a little bit. Maybe we have another form that we want to send out. So I am going to actually do some deleting of the default that we have out here because I want to show you how, one, you can do that. And I'll also show you how we can kind of go out here and create our own kind of process or our own kind of flow, if you will. So let's say I do like this. I like this step number 1 because that is the form that I want to use, is this onboarding questionnaire. Let's say I've got that published on my website. So I want to say, okay, when they do complete the onboarding questionnaire, maybe not necessarily send them to the next stage. Maybe I've got another form in my sequence that I actually need them to fill out. Maybe I'm using PreciseFP also as a qualifier. I've got another form that I want to send out to them, get a little more information. Let's actually remove this here. Let's remove this and let's create a brand new flow. So we're going to say when the form engagement with, again, onboarding questionnaire is completed, instead of moving them to the next stage, what I want to do is I actually want to send them another form. So I'm going to choose here in the do, I'm going to say engage contact with a form. And then you'll see this drop down that appears to show you all of your forms that you have in your dashboard. So let's say maybe the next one that I want to send them is the household structure. I want to get a little more information about their household, just to kind of see if they're maybe going to be a good fit for me. So again, I've got the onboarding questionnaire actually posted on my website. So let's just imagine I've got the onboarding questionnaire on my website. So they go to my website, they fill out the onboarding questionnaire, they're automatically dropped into this stage number 1. So what happens is when they complete that onboarding questionnaire, PreciseFP is automatically going to engage them with my next form. So I don't have to worry about doing that. My staff doesn't have to worry about doing that. I could create a form that kind of lays out my steps on it, on like the welcome page or the emails, and this is all just automatic, folks. This is all going to happen through the system automatically. So now what do I want to happen? Well, I want to actually now, after they fill out my household structure, now I want to move them to my acquire stage. So I'm actually going to create another flow in this onboard stage. So I'm going to create a new workflow and I'm going to say when engagement is completed. And in this case, I'm going to say when the household structure is completed, what do I want to do? I actually want to move them to the next stage, which in this case, I do like the acquire stage. I think I'm going to keep that. So I'm going to say move them to the acquire stage. Now, what I can also do here is I can create yet another flow that says when, let me see here, account is, let's say I've got this stage for re-engage, like I was saying in the first slide that I was showing you there, we do have this default re-engage, which I do see a lot of advisors use. And they use this for maybe, sending out a form and maybe they aren't completing it. Now you can set up periodic email reminders at the form template, but maybe that's just not reaching them or whatever the situation may be. So what you can say is basically you can re-engage them with the form. It sends it out to them again. We can say when the account is in this stage for a certain number of days, we can actually, let's change this to maybe I don't know, 15 days. That's meaning that, oh, sorry. What do I want to do? I want to move them to a different stage. Let's move them to that re-engage stage. So what that is saying is if they're in this stage for 15 days without doing any of these steps, it is going to move them to the re-engage stage. And then what I can do here is re-engage. I can create a workflow here. So when they move from onboard, and this is again, when they're in this stage for more than 15 days, and this is saying basically, if they're in this stage for 15 days and they haven't done these, then it's automatically going to move them to re-engage, where you may want to create another form for them. So you'll basically just have a form going out to them. So you could say maybe when this account is in this stage for a day, then we engage them with our other form that I'll just choose a form here so we can have another form go out. So you see how it's kind of now allowing them to, you know, jump over this stage because they didn't meet the criteria in this stage here. So that's one way that you can kind of shuffle them around. You can shuffle them around. They don't have to go boom, boom, boom. You know, this is great for something like this where, you know, maybe you send the form out to them and they don't do it in a certain number of days. Well, you could have it go out again as many times as you may need to. But now let's say, okay, they completed the household structure form. What is going to happen? They're going to move to this acquire stage. What do we want to happen here? Well, let's say we want to acquire them. We want to have them sign our service agreement. So we can say when, let's say when the account is in this stage for maybe a day. Just so, I mean, this is kind of nice because, you know, it kind of breaks it up so they're not getting forms kind of boom, boom, boom. This kind of allows a break in that if you need to. I like this stage, or excuse me, this trigger here when it's in here for a certain number of days. This is really nice. I see a lot of advisors using this, especially for those who may not want to have a form just kind of go boom, boom, boom. They want to kind of give the client a little break. So I kind of like doing this. You may see me do this a lot, just kind of create like a, well, we're in here for a day. Let's give them a pause for a minute. Then we engage them with our, I'm just going to say I've got a service agreement, I think, installed here. Maybe not. I thought I had one. Might not have one. It doesn't look like it. So what I will do is I'll just choose one of my forms here. Just maybe choose this one here. And we'll just pretend that that is a service agreement. I thought I had one installed, doesn't appear that I do. But basically what will happen now is I can say, again, they finished the household structure form. When that's completed, they move to the next stage, which is acquire. And what do I want to happen? Well, when they're in this stage for a day, I want to engage them with insert service agreement title here. And then I can now create another flow. So let's say when engagement is completed, I'll say service agreement. What do we want to happen? We want to convert them. So that gets them out of this flow. That'll actually get them out of this prospect pipeline and moves them over to the client pipeline. So this is a great example of a very simplified prospecting pipeline that I usually see advisors do. I usually don't see advisors get too too in depth with a prospecting pipeline, just because, you know, there's only so much that they want to do. But on the flip side of that, I have a lot of advisors who are very, very intense with their prospecting, and they use Precise, almost like a drip campaign, if you will. They're just kind of boom, boom, firing one email after another, one form after another, and that's perfectly fine. You can definitely do that. So when we say this is completely customizable to how you work with your clients and prospects, we really do mean that. So you could keep going even. You could keep this going, keep creating stages if you wanted to, and yeah, keep having forms fired off to them and keep gathering data. It's completely up to you however you want that. But I just wanted to show you that's how you can actually have an account converted, is you can create basically a workflow for that. So now let's go to our pipeline for clients. So as you can see, we have a few more stages out here, from onboard to discover, plan, etc. So I'm going to be playing around in here a little bit just to kind of, again, give you guys some inspiration for what I have seen other advisors do. But this is by no means, you don't have to use this pipeline that's here. It's a great way to just kind of have a starting point. So, again, they're when they are converted to a client, they are automatically dropped into stage number 1. Same if you import a client from like your CRM or financial planning software, or if you manually create a client, they always drop to that first stage. So with this, with advisors who may not do prospecting, let me delete these that are here because I want to show you how you can give you some examples of what I've seen advisors do. So for advisors who may not be doing prospecting, maybe they're using PreciseFP with existing clients. So especially with the integration partners and those being bi-directional, you can do an import in from your CRM or financial planning software. And the nice thing there is it actually brings data in from those platforms into PreciseFP, and that data can actually pre-fill into your forms that send out. So in that case, with advisors who may use PreciseFP for existing clients and may not do prospecting, what I've seen them do is the stage number 1. What I see them do is I see them create a workflow that says when the account is imported from an integration, tongue-tied there. So this is a really great flow that you can create if you're going to be doing a lot of importing in. So I use Redtail as my CRM. So I could have a flow here that says when an account is imported from an integration, what do you want to happen? Well, we want to automatically get a form out to them. And maybe that is my fact finder, or maybe I've got a review form that I'm sending out to them. I can choose my form, and now I've got this flow that says when the account is imported in from, insert your application or your CRM financial planning software here, what do you want to happen? I want to engage them with the fact finder. So that's something that you can do. Just again, give you some inspiration there. Otherwise, what I see advisors do who may be doing, again, kind of the prospecting to client pipeline, is on this onboarding stage, they usually do things like when they are, show you here. Okay, when they are maybe in this stage for, again, I love doing this. I love this flow. When they're in this stage for a day, engage them with a form. So usually I see advisors send out like the risk tolerance questionnaire. That's a form that we have in the library that you can use. I've seen other advisors kind of with this step number 1 in the client pipeline is do something like the fact finder. So you think back to the prospecting pipeline, we're not really getting too in depth with them. We're just kind of, getting very minimal data from them, just, maybe basic contact information, maybe information about household, really just trying to get their foot in the door with you, right? So not overwhelming them too much. So that's typically what I see advisors do when they are prospecting. Their forms are very minimal, not so robust as like a fact finder. It's usually when they get them as clients, then they start sending out the heavy hitters like the fact finder. So that, whatever your process is, maybe even you've got a different form, you can go out here and choose that as your form that goes out to them. So now, again, they are converted to a client. I let them sit in here for a day, and then what's going to happen? Well, they're going to fill out my risk tolerance questionnaire. And then what I can say is, maybe when that's completed, I can create, another flow that sends out my IPS and kind of so on and so forth. Now, if you want to build another stage, that's something that you can definitely do. That's just a matter, and this goes for the prospecting pipeline too. Just click on the plus sign in the upper right hand corner here. You can give it a name, nice little icon and a description, and then you can start building your flows within that particular stage. Now, going on kind of the client pipeline, what I was kind of saying before, what I typically see advisors do is just kind of maybe start with something like the risk tolerance and the IPS, and then getting them over to like the discover stage where we send out maybe the fact finder. So that goes out to them automatically when they complete the fact finder. Then we move them maybe to plan. And this is where I wanted to bring in the suggestion, because I remember you can't have the integrations firing off automatically. So what I usually see advisors do here is, maybe keep this called plan, or maybe, let me show you here. Maybe we call it export to CRM, something like that. And change this description, export over to Redtail or Wealthbox, Salesforce, whatever your CRM is. And then don't put a flow here. Don't put a flow here. You don't have to put flows here. What you can do, and what I've seen advisors do, because again, it's not going to export automatically, but let me go to the dashboard here, because when you log in every day, you can actually see where your clients and prospects are in their respective pipeline. So if you maybe have, an admin that's coming in here and they're doing all like the exporting and stuff, you can actually, they log in and they can click on this and they can see who all is in, this particular stage. Let me actually move somebody over there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is something that you can also do too. You can manually change where somebody is in their pipeline stage. So like if I go here, this person is in the onboard stage. If I want to move them, I can actually come out here and manually do them. I don't really see too many people moving manually. That's kind of what the pipelines are about, doing things, automatically. But again, everybody's different. You can go out there and you can manually move someone. So I've got that person in the export to CRM, right? So my admin comes in, they can come out here and they can say, oh yeah, there's someone here. This is my stage that I handle. I know I need to click on this, and it opens up that account for them. They can click on the person's name, boom, export that over to Redtail. Now what we can do, let's go back to our pipeline here, is because we can actually create a flow based on an export going over, just like we could create a flow on an import coming in. You recall when we did the example here that I gave you earlier, where people may not do prospecting, but they want a flow to happen when somebody's imported. Same thing, you can add a workflow that says when an account is exported, only for, in this case, Redtail, what do we want to happen? Let's move them to the next stage, and that is called invest. So going back here, sorry folks, I'm going to be jumping around a lot, but going back here, so I'm going to show you. So that account, right? This person is in the export to CRM stage. They go in, they export them to Redtail. Take a few seconds to do that export, and then what happens is now that person is going to be on the next stage in the pipeline. So, and it's going to be based off of this trigger that I'm doing here, which is the exporting on over to Redtail. So if I do a refresh, that person is no longer in that particular pipeline. So they are no longer there. They are no longer in the export to CRM because I exported them. They actually moved to the next stage, which was invest. So if you recall, let's go back to the pipeline stage here and let's go to client. And again, when account is exported to Redtail, move them to invest. So when we go back to our client accounts and we look at my client sample client here, you'll see again, they are in the invest stage of my pipeline. That happened automatically. So now what I can do is in my invest stage, maybe that's sending out like my investment policy statement, things like that. So again, folks, you can just go out here and you can just keep kind of going, right? You can keep going with your flows, create as many flows as you want. I wanted to show you too with the just kind of creating a new stage. I'm going to call this annual review. And I'm going to just create an icon for it. Let's use that nice little money sign. A year later, the fact finder goes out to the client. I'm just setting up my new pipeline stage here, so that automatically adds it to the bottom. Now, if you want to rearrange, you can do that. You'll see when you hover over a stage, you'll see an arrangement of dots that appears on the left-hand side here. Just click that and then you can remove them, or excuse me, rearrange them if you want to. So anytime you add a new stage, it always drops to the bottom. So if you ever need to move things along, you can, or rearrange, you can do that. So now I've got this new stage called annual review. Like I was mentioning, I've seen a lot of advisors do this, and that is using my favorite trigger here is when the account is in this stage. You can set it to 365 days. What do you want to happen? Let's engage them with our fact finder. So anybody who is in this stage for 365 days is going to get the fact finder sent out to them automatically. So something to keep in mind is if you're testing out the workflow here, just keep in mind that the flows within the stage are not going to happen unless they are in that particular stage. So when you are, if you're experimenting with this and you're having issues with things not going out automatically, check the clients or prospect, make sure that they are indeed a client and that they are indeed in the stage that you're looking for. I've seen some people who are kind of playing around with it and they'll be, well, this form isn't going out. And when we look, we see that they're actually a client when it should be a prospect, or they're in the wrong stage. They're not in the right stage. So that's what these stages are set up for, because when they're in this particular stage, these are the flows that are going to happen. So if they're not in this stage, then these flows are not going to happen. So just keep in mind, if you are testing this out, which I always recommend to do, is test it out on yourself, or a family member or a team member. Add yourself as a client or a prospect and go through and just kind of play around, add some stages, go out there and see how everything just kind of would automatically flow for you. Now, if you do want to ever restore back to default, you can do that. That's just a matter of coming up to the top here and clicking on this button here, and then it will reset you back to defaults. There is no way when you actually do this to bring anything back. So keep that in mind. There is a warning here. You do have to enter in your password to confirm that. So keep in mind, if you ever want to do that, you can't bring back what you've done. So that is the automatic workflow piece. Again, this is super powerful. I think a lot more people are really starting to take advantage of this, especially when you're starting to use more than one form in PreciseFP. It really just makes complete sense to have these pieces going out automatically. So you don't have to worry about, or your staff doesn't have to worry about, oh darn, did I send that form out to my client or prospect? I don't remember. Well, the system will do that for you. And anytime something goes out, there's a log of that in the client or the prospect timeline. So you always can keep track of forms that went out. You can, again, come out here and take like a bird's eye view of where everybody is in their respective pipelines for both prospects as well as for clients. There's just so much that can be done with this. But I think if you just kind of get the basics down of this is how you can actually create flows. These are the triggers that can happen with this. Let's now go over these triggers just so you're fully aware of what each of them are. I think these ones are pretty self-explanatory. When the form engagement is completed, you can have a trigger be when they open it. So immediately when they open up the form, or when you create the form, if you want that to be the trigger. You can also have triggers be based off of PDF engagements too. So like if you're doing like a TD account opening PDF in PreciseFP and you want to say when that is completed, maybe something goes out automatically, you can do something like that. So you've got some triggers based off of PDF engagements. We explained the account is imported and exported, doing the integrations, my favorite one when they're in the stage for a number of days. The data quality score. You may have seen the data quality score when I was kind of moving around, looking at an account, either a client or a prospect account. You probably saw like a number when I was looking at them. So let me go back and show you here. When you go to your account, you see this column for, oops, there we go. You see this column for quality. Now, this is something that the company admins also have the ability to actually customize. So PreciseFP calculates a data quality score for each client and prospect account. To calculate this score, basically what happens is the system uses a series of rules to identify either incomplete or missing information in each account profile. So the default data quality score that we have in the system is based around KYC requirements. So like if I look at this person, I can see they're in the red, got a really low score. I see the data quality here. I can click on that drop down. I've got a lot of missing data on file for them. I only have their email on file. So their score is really, really low. Whereas this person here, I've got a lot of information on file for them, right? So what the, let me go back to the settings here. So the data quality, again, is something that the admin has the ability to control and customize. So you can see here, we'll have rules set for both clients as well as for prospect accounts. Like I mentioned, these are by default based around KYC, but this is fully customizable too. And what I mean by that is, let's say you guys ask your clients maybe custom questions and you want those to be part of your rules here. So you want to say, you know, this custom field, I want to make sure that my client has that information on file. I'm going to pull up that field and I want that to be basically part of my data quality rule. So then when they do not have that on file, it basically shows that as unmarked, right? When it gets on file, then it shows it as marked. So with the data quality, that is something that you can use as a trigger, which I have seen advisors do. If they could say, you know, if the data quality score is, you know, 50 or less, or 50 or higher, then that can be a trigger as well. So a lot of, again, there's a lot that you can do out here with this. I have seen people use this. I have seen people use the data quality score as a trigger. They have custom fields that they've set up and they've put that as part of their data quality meter. And then when their score is a certain, you know, score, they have specific forms going out for those people. If their score is lower than a certain level, they've got specific forms for those people too. So it's definitely something that you can do there. The if basically selects a filter. Do you want certain profile data to be a part of that? Do you want, like, if you want a form to go out, do you want it to be based off of a certain field in the profile, or maybe, again, the data quality score? You can really come out here and filter it down even further. So that's something that you can set up there as well. And then as far as the what do you want to happen when your trigger is met, again, we kind of played around with some of these. Moving account to a different stage is pretty self-explanatory. You can move them however far up or down your pipeline as you want. You can have an account archived. So I've seen advisors do this if they're using archiving in PreciseFP. So maybe they'll say, you know, after 3 days from completing their fact finder, we're going to archive them. And it would just move them under, you can see archived here under accounts. It would just move them automatically here. And then you can also favorite the account. Favorite would just move them here. Maybe you've got somebody that's got a really high quality score based on certain rules. Maybe you consider like the favorites in PreciseFP as VIP clients, and it can automatically move them there. And then again, the engage contact with a form, pretty self-explanatory. Those are your dues that you can set up with the pipelines there. So I know that was a lot of information, but it's really, again, this is so powerful. I definitely see, like I said, a lot of people utilizing this solution of PreciseFP because of the fact that, one, it's included, and it really just kind of makes all of your pieces being able to go out automatically, which is so incredibly powerful and important. Definitely, especially when you've got a lot of forms that you're using in PreciseFP, or maybe a few. Just think automation. It's automating your forms being able to go out. With that being said, we've got a few minutes left, so I did want to make sure I got to any questions that you guys may have. If you have any questions, please go ahead and put those right in that GoToWebinar control panel. I'd be happy to go over any questions that you may have. I do want to say that we do offer coaching for folks. So if this is a solution that you definitely are interested in implementing into your practice and you want just some one-on-one coaching on how to do this, don't hesitate to let us know. We're always happy to help, and we can get on a Zoom call with you and kind of walk you through that. Or the other option is if you want us to create a workflow for you, we can do that. That starts at $150 per hour. What we would need to do that is we would just need you to have all your forms set up, and kind of just write out a flow for us. Like, what is your vision? What do you want? We would get on a call with you and talk about that with you, but that is a service that we do offer. So if anybody's ever interested in that, you can always just shoot us a chat message and we'd be happy to go over that with you. All right, well, I didn't see any questions come through, so I just want to make sure that I leave up this information here for you folks. I've got our website, which has a lot of great information out there. I've got our support email. We do have live chat. That is the best and quickest way to get in touch with myself and my support team. We're available in the live chat Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're on our website or if you were in the app, you can actually, sorry about that. You can actually click on the green chat icon in the lower right-hand corner, and you'll be chatting with a live person. It's never a robot. It's always myself or my team. We're there. We're happy to help. And I've also got a YouTube channel link here too. This is really great because there's a lot of additional help videos out there. You can definitely go out there and check out. There's so much information out there. I just saw a question come in. Do you plan to add additional pipelines so we can have more than one for each of prospect and client? I addressed that in the beginning, but I'll go over that again. So no, we're always just going to have the client and prospect pipeline, but you can create different flows within the client and the prospect pipeline, which I have seen advisors do. So they create kind of because again, you're not limited to the number of stages that you can have, and you're not limited to the number of flows that you can have. So you really could create multiple flows within one pipeline for a client. What I do recommend is we actually had a really great webinar with an advisor who actually talked about how he set up his pipeline, and he actually does work with multiple kind of flows. He has created multiple kind of paths within the client and prospect pipeline. I highly recommend checking out that webinar just to, again, kind of get some more inspiration. That is on our YouTube channel. And let me actually share my screen here. So if you go to our YouTube channel, again, PreciseFP, you can find it on our webinars page, but go to our YouTube. You can go to YouTube and search for PreciseFP2. It's this one right here. It's this providing a customer journey where things don't fall through the cracks. This advisor, it was a great webinar. He really gave a lot of great information about how he creates kind of multiple pipelines for clients and multiple pipelines for prospects. So yeah, that's definitely one I recommend checking out. So, all right, folks, I didn't see any other questions come through, so I do want to thank you all so much for your time today. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, if any other questions come up, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help. I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon. Thank you again for joining me today. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.